Hey, peace, good people. Thank you for tuning in to Knowledge and Resistance. Remember, if you like what you hear here, to subscribe to the channel, share the video, like it, comment on it. Today, I want to talk about this whole platinum plan thing with the election coming up, right? And kind of what it means in terms of us as white people, and I think how we need to put it into perspective, right? So Ice Cube, approaches Donald Trump with this platinum plan, and Trump adopts it, right? Supports it, adopts it, said, promises to implement it, if he's elected president again. I think that this poses a number of issues, a number of questions that we need to be asking in order to put this whole thing into perspective. First, let me say that Malcolm X once said that nobody's going to give you your freedom. If you're a man, you take it, right? The idea of going to a politician, especially one as dirty and underhanded as Donald Trump, and expecting him to implement any sort of measures that could lead to black people's liberation, I think is absurd. Not only are politicians known, like, reputable for lying and breaking promises, but ones as sneaky and sly and cutthroat and duplicitous as Donald Trump. To think that somebody like that is going to keep any sort of promise, I think is a pipe dream at best, right? So let's take a look at Donald Trump. In 2016, while he was on the campaign trail for the 2016, presidential election, he said, when the question of, black people came up and the black community came up, Donald Trump said, quote, "You're living in poverty, your schools are no good, you have no jobs, 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose?" Now, the what the hell do you have to lose is in reference to voting for him, right? What do you have to lose by voting for him? These these words are an explicit acknowledgement, an explicit admission that Donald Trump understands the existence of systemic racism. He gets it. He knows that it's there. Adopting this platinum plan and signing off on it and promising to implement it is nothing more than Donald Trump using, exploiting systemic racism to pander to the black vote. Ironically, that is the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, well, I don't know if I want to say worst case scenario, but I think at least, you know, what's much worse is that Donald Trump, and I think that this is much more likely, is that Donald Trump is using this whole platinum plan idea to kind of play the white hero, right? Like Malcolm X said, nobody's going to give you your freedom. If you're a man, you take it. Donald Trump seems to be under the impression, and in fact, from what I hear, Joe Biden as well seems to be under the impression that can they can give black people their liberation. Um, However, I think that both Trump and Biden have this conception of black people's ability to be self-determined. I think that particularly Trump is using this whole platinum plan thing as a way to undermine black people's ability to be self-determined, their ability to determine their own fate, their ability for self-governance. I don't think that he believes in the competence of black people. I think that he I think that he thinks black people would be, irresponsible with their freedom. And so he's going to use the platinum plan as, a way to shine a better light on himself, but also to make himself feel better, and a way to um, keep his foot on the neck of the black community, right? What we need to understand as white people, I think we need to put it all into context. And what I mean by that is that during slavery, white slave owners tried to convince they tried to convince black slave or enslaved black people that slavery was good for them, that it was that it was in their own best interest. Now, most people, most of the enslaved black people knew that that was garbage. They knew it was BS. But there were a few. There were a few who bought into it. There were a few who took the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and started believing that slavery was in their own best interest. Having a black person, having a black celebrity endorse your efforts to pander to the black vote does not absolve you of your racism. In fact, I think it highlights it even more. The other lesser known outcome, the other lesser known circumstance of trying to convince black people that slavery was good for them was that there were other white people who didn't even own slaves that started becoming convinced that slavery was in the best interest of black people. As such, racist ideas, these racist concepts, the idea of black people's inferiority to white people became so ubiquitous. It became so ingrained within society's whole makeup. It was interwoven into society's fabric, even by people who didn't benefit from slavery in any way. So, as white people, we need to understand and we need to recognize the very destructive mentality, the very destructive notion that comes along with thinking that Trump or any one of these politicians would ever even acknowledge the oppression of black people, B would ever even consider black liberation, would ever even consider any sort of benevolent or altruistic political move for black people. Using this whole platinum plan thing as a way to try to justify Trump's position, as a way to try to absolve Trump of his racism, as a way to try to absolve any politician of their racism is absolutely asinine. Um, it's It's something that we as white people need to be aware of, I think. Particularly in the event of this, or in light of this election coming up, right? If Donald Trump or Biden or any politician were actually interested in the liberation of black people, were actually interested in what is in black people's best interest, they would sit down, they would shut up, they would listen to what the collective black community has been demanding forever, for centuries. And they would agree to it. They would capitulate to the demands of the collective black community. You know, instead of thinking that one self-proclaimed leader, black leader, speaks for the entire black community. They would listen to what the black community as a whole has been saying, has been demanding. You know, primarily stop effing killing them. They can't even do that. They can't even acknowledge that that's a problem, let alone stop doing it. They don't have black people's best interests in mind. They are just as racist now with the adoption of this platinum plan as they were when Trump in particular, as he was when he was taking out full page ads to have the Central Park 5 locked up. Probably even more so. He would, if he was really interested in black people's liberation, in black people's best interest, he would agree to black people's demands, and he would step aside and let black people determine their own destiny instead of trying to dictate it for them. And that's just, it's as simple as that. So remember, if you like what you heard, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to share the video, like the video, and comment underneath. Thanks.